Let's start with the browser app, which is a bit easier. And there, we can, for example, already get our first issue. When I delete an item and then I'll go back to this page here. Now, obviously the issue is that I can still go there, that even though I deleted the item, it still is there in my recipes page, so where I list all my recipes. Now, this error is here on purpose. I didn't fix it here because we will dive way deeper into advanced apps and the state management with Angular later. And this specifically has also to do with how navigation and page reusage works in Ionic, and that is something I'll dive into in the routing and navigation module. So this is a perfect use case to see how we can debug this error and find out what's wrong. One of the easiest things you can do when you're encountering strange behaviors or problems is if you get an error message, read it. A lot of the error messages are actually helpful, and you can at least copy and paste the error and put it into Google, and often you will find solutions or hints or ideas on what's wrong there. So don't get scared if you see an error message, read it. If you don't get an error message, or you got one but you need to investigate a bit further, you can do that. And one of the easiest things you can do in that case is throw in a console log. And here our problem seems to be that after I deleted this, I still have the spaghetti here in my list on the recipes page. So why don't we go into our recipes page, and there where I load my recipes, where I seem to load them incorrectly, we can throw in a console log statement. And yes, console log debugging is not something you'll win a lot of hearts or fans with, but for quick checks, it is a great tool and I would absolutely use it. I'll dive into advanced debugging tools later too, no worries. So now I'm logging the content of this recipes in ng on init of the recipes page. If we now reload this app here, we see the output here. We see our array with the 2 recipes. And that makes sense because when we reload, the data is there, because right now we have no logic to save our changes to a server or anything like that. If I now go to my spaghetti, obviously it's there. And if I now delete my spaghetti, I'm back on the recipes page, and this is our old console log. We don't see a new one. And this indirectly already tells us what's wrong here. Since we don't get another log here, we kind of seem to be in a situation where ng on init doesn't execute again. And indeed it doesn't. Now the detailed reasons for this will be taught in the navigation routing section. Basically, Ionic caches this page and doesn't recreate it when you moved to another page and come back. And therefore ng on init doesn't execute again, and therefore we don't fetch our updated recipes from the recipes service. That's the problem. And this is something we can identify or narrow down with this single console log statement, because we can clearly see this does not execute again. Something has to be wrong there. Why could this not execute again? And then we can find out, because you learn it in this course or you find it in the official docs, that Ionic does cache pages. And you have your reason. Now you would need to change your code such that you set up a subscription to recipes and get notified when they change in the service. Feel free to do that. It is a pattern we'll implement later in our main course project. So console log, a nice tool. But sometimes it's not enough, or you need deeper insights. You want to dive into the exact flow of logic in your application. And that is possible as well.